Alright, today I just wanted to make a quick video of my Vstar 1100 2004. Just had it all apart to do a repair on the drive shaft, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But since I had it apart, I went ahead and shined it and did some cleaning on it, and figured while it's looking pretty good, I ought to make a video of it. It's a nice color. It's a pretty nice bike. I really like the way it rides. That low center of gravity just feels really nice. Makes it very easy to ride. This bike has several features. So the previous owner cut down the windshield because I think it had glazed over from sun damage or something like that. So he had cut it down, and then I think he figured out, or his son figured out how to polish the windscreen, so they actually polished it and made it clear. So it looks pretty good now. It's got some scratches and some stains and stuff. But what I figured out was, one thing I had a problem with was it being so short. I had some really bad wind buffeting, and this is my first bike with a windscreen, so that was my first time dealing with that. So I ended up finding this on Amazon real cheap. You see I got like zip ties and stuff. There's like a $150 one that you can get from like Germany, but this was maybe 20 bucks, 50 bucks, and it works pretty good. It works fantastic, actually. I have no problems with buffeting now. Just recently got these hand covers, wind deflectors, and they work really good, only just because I ride like every day, all the time. So in Alabama it can get a little cold, get down in the 30s, so going into work, about a 20-30 minute drive in the 30-degree weather, that can make your hands pretty cold, even with some good gloves. So I got these and they work great. Those weren't too expensive, real simple. There's some wiring left over here. It did come with some speakers that mounted up in the handlebar. I didn't like them. I didn't think they had good sound quality. These wires I think are for some internal heater grips. This one's missing the end piece, or it just needs one. You can kind of see the heater there. I kind of doubt that they work, but it's an option if you ever wanted to set that up. That'd be easy to do. There's holes already in the handlebar for the wires to come out, so it's just a little probably like a little resistance heater that sits up against the wall of the handlebar. What other things? So I've got the pod air filter kit in this thing. I was searching to see what upgrades I could make. Actually, what I was doing, I was looking for these little set screws. I don't know if you can see that in there. I don't have a flashlight on me, but the pilot screws for adjusting the pilot mixture. And I found them. I think it's MaxAir is the guy who had them, and he had them as part of a kit, as the pod kit. So it's the air filter pods, as well as all of the jettings, needles, and instructions. I did that, and wow, that was a big difference, night and day. Now it makes tons of power. You can tell I don't have the traditional air filter cleaner unit on here. It normally mounts right here, the big round thing. So it's the air filter pods. I don't know if you can see them up in there, but they're just mounted. It's just pods mounted directly to the manifolds, and that just made a huge difference. So it just made me realize how restrictive that airflow is coming into that filter. So that was a huge difference. Makes a ton of power now. Down here we've got the oil filter relocation kit that came from the previous owner, and that definitely makes things easier. It's the Barons, I think. I will say one complaint about their stuff, I ended up having to replace the hoses. I think that whenever I bought it, the guy, I think he had just put it on there. Their hoses have swivels right here, and the swivels started leaking. So I'm not sure what the deal was with that. They've got some O-rings in there, and they just started leaking. So I ended up having to source these hoses. Just some, I forgot what they're called. They're the aluminum. There's a certain series of fittings that you can buy, and so I just set that up myself. And that wasn't too big of a deal when you figure out what you're doing. So just recently I went in and checked the clutch because I thought the clutch was slipping. As it turns out, the previous owner had replaced the clutch. I didn't realize that, and when they did it, there's a ring. There's a ring that sits inside the hub that the spring seats into. They had flipped it upside down, so the ring, or the spring plate, had actually slipped off the hub and that's what was causing the clutch to slip. So whenever I figured that out, I had a new clutch and everything, and I measured the clutch that was in there, the plates, and the one I had, which is OEM, and those were thicker than what I had. So the clutch is brand new and it's perfectly fine. Just the spring plate needed to be fixed. So did that and haven't had any problems since. So that's really good. I like to do things like this. It's just some vinyl, some clear vinyl, like paint protection film. I like to put that kind of stuff on there. There was some damage right here, I think, from when the people pulling, this is the battery cover, people would pull that off and it would slam into the pipes right here. So just put stuff like that, kind of protect the paint. It does have the hookup right there for the battery tender. These are aftermarket pipes. I don't think they're like baffled at all. They're pretty noisy, but as long as you don't mind that, then they're good. I'm sure they flow really good, make lots of power. So the bags, they're still in pretty good condition. Some stuff kind of falling off. The big problem here is, I think this one's ready to fall off as well, if I can get it unbuckled. But the big problem is this leather right here. See, the button's still there, but the leather will kind of tear through. So that's the issue with those. So this one's, I think I still have it. Still have the buckle like at the house. I just got to find a suitable leather and punch some holes in it and replace it. But these are pretty nice. Usually keep my rain gear in that bag at all times, and some spare, tools or whatever, things like that. It's got the passenger pegs. I think it is the Silverado, so it has the rear seat and backrest. This kind of looks aftermarket, and so does this. So I'm not sure where these came from, but they sure are handy. I've used that several times. Lunchbox. I put a paint can on there to return it one time. It's just very useful. The drive shaft, so I just went into that, so it's nice and clean now. Fresh oil, fresh grease, and everything. This shaft here had a little bit of corrosion on the plating, so I polished that all up, polished everything. But the deal with the drive shaft was, I think when they put this new tire on, which was probably right before I got it, the connection from the drive shaft to the wheel clutch hub, that grease, there wasn't any grease there. I mean, it was all dried. Whenever I took it off, it looked like brake dust around the rim here, and it was actually just rust from the splines that connect from the drive shaft to the wheel. So it tore those up, completely tore them. That was a replaceable part on the wheel hub side, but on the drive shaft side, the splines connect into the ring gear. That's not a replaceable part, so I had to source one off of eBay. Luckily, I got one for 30 bucks. That was in great condition. Couldn't see anything wrong with it, so replaced that. Everything in the drive shaft looks good. I have not staked the middle gear here where the nut and the U-joint connect, because that's hard to get to. That's one thing I read online, is you got to be careful about it. Sometimes that can kind of come loose. So you can see it when you take this cover off, so as long as you keep an eye on it, it'll be okay. I have disconnected the air injection system. I have, as part of that carburetor kit, it did come with some plugs to put in there, so you can remove these pipes and then plug them. I just haven't done that yet. You can remove these two pipes, and then I've still got the air injection pump in there. I've just got it unplugged. So I think that's about it. It does, whenever I got it, it does. He did say they put a new starter clutch in it. That's another item that tends to wear out on these bikes. And I think that's because you have to make sure that the idle is set correctly, and you can't give it any throttle. There's something with the ignition on these bikes, I think. If you give it any gas whenever you're hitting the starter button, it'll try to, I think it's igniting the spark plug a little bit too soon, so it'll try to spin the engine the other way whenever you're trying to start it over, and I think that puts a lot of wear on the starter clutch. So that's just one of those things about this bike. But if you know that, and you make sure you don't give it any gas, and you got the idle set correctly, then you're good to go. So I think that pretty much does it. Oh, the Memphis Shades, these things. So I fixed kind of the buffeting with the top piece, but I was still getting a lot of buffeting behind the windshield, so I added these extra pieces from Memphis Shades, and that pretty much solved the problem. Now I have a nice big little space of air, calm air back there, and it's really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the key here and see if she'll fire up for me. Alright, that pretty much does it. So this is my 2004 Vstar 1100 Silverado. I got the whole phone holder right there. That's pretty nice. So it's a nice bike, like I said. Great cruiser. Love cruising around on it. Comfortable, very comfortable. And now with all the little things that I've done, the handguards, the windshield stuff, the air filter and jetting kit, it's made it a pretty fun bike. So, all right, guys, have a good one.